So last week, our producers suggested a story on golf. I said, I hunt and fish. I don't know anything about golf. And they said, no, it's actually really interesting. And it is interesting. There's a new league called LIV Golf competing with the PGA Tour. So we decided to go down to Trump National Golf Club in Bedminster, New Jersey this weekend to learn more about it. Now, we showed you part of our visit last night. We had a conversation with the new commissioner of LIV Golf, Greg Norman, one of the greatest players in the world, but we wanted to know what the players who are participating in LIV Golf think of this and why they leave the PGA anyway. Why would anyone leave the PGA? Well, Bryson DeChambeau is one of the best golfers in the world, played at SMU. He's one of the longest drivers in the history of the sport. He's now playing for LIV. He's got a really interesting personal story, too. So we sat down with him and asked him lots of golf-related questions. Here's part of what he said. You spent 6 years on the PGA Tour.
Yeah.
You were one of the best young players in college. How did you wind up here? This is a controversial choice, according to a lot of people.
Definitely. A lot of opportunity. That was the first and foremost thing. There was a new opportunity to do something different in the game of golf. I've always been a bit of a trendsetter. When I was growing up, I always thought that I'd do something cool in the game of golf. I didn't know what it would be. Now that I see this, I know this is a big part of it. And the reason I say that is because I've always thought that golf has to start to tailor to the younger generation if we want to continue to grow the game. I'm all about growth in the game of golf. And I think that as time has gone on, this opportunity with LIV Golf, the way it's structured from an investment perspective, also from a enjoyment perspective, an entertainment perspective, all has a possibility to do things that the game of golf has never seen before.
When you talk to people about LIV, they suggest that there's been a violation of some kind of unspoken honor code in golf, or you're going to change the culture of golf and make it more vulgar, more populist, less honorable. I know you hear versions of that. I'm not sure I'm describing it exactly right, but the spirit of golf is being somehow despoiled or desecrated by this. How do you respond to that?
Well, the spirit of golf, look, I think that in every industry, no matter what it is, it's always been changing, innovating, right? And golf, I don't think, is anything different. Over the course of time, if we want to continue to grow the game or make the game more interesting, if you're going to keep it with hickory shafts and a balata ball and no technology, people are not going to be interested by that. We've got to find ways to make it more interesting, whether it's a new format, teams. That's personally one of my favorite things about LIV Golf is the team aspect. No, I think it's enhancing the spirit of the game.
So PGA Tour is saying that anyone who participates in LIV will be banned for life from PGA Tour.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
You're 28. Are you worried about that?
No. I think it'll get figured out. In the end, I personally know that it will get figured out, whether it's legally or whether they come to the table and work out terms. I definitely think it'll all wash itself out in the future pretty shortly. But it's funny. It's so weird because it's like, let's use this as a reference. I heard this earlier this week. You have a pizza shop that's been in existence for 50 years, and all the customers go to it, it's a great product. All of a sudden, a new pizza shop opens up, right? And they start paying the customers to come eat at their place. And that pizza is potentially a little bit better of a pizza, right? And then all of a sudden, that original pizza house goes, if you go over there, we're banning you from ever coming back to our pizza shop. What's wrong with that economic model?
That does seem short-sighted.
Yeah.
Particularly if you have been the only pizza shop in town, if you've had a monopoly.
Correct.
That's probably not allowed.
Correct.
But there is this vibe in golf. It's more than a vibe. It's a kind of stated ethic where, it's not really about the money or you should play for free or...
Well, in that case, it just becomes a hobby.
Yeah.
We're playing for free. I mean, these are our livelihoods, and there's a great economic opportunity for golfers to make a lot of money. I mean, that's why we grew up playing golf, also for the history to go win majors and win PGA Tour events initially, and now I'm out here, I want to win LIV events. I mean, you can see the passion and competitive aspect of this environment out here, and we all want to compete to win every single week. Anytime anyone invests over $1 billion into, let's say, the game of golf, how is that not going to grow the game? How is that not going to provide more opportunities?
What did your parents, your friends, your caddy, what did they all say?
Well, when we looked at the economics, if it was solely for the economics, it was a no-brainer. Considering the relationships I've built with my sponsors, considering the relationship I have with the tour, the relationship I have with my competitors out there on tour as well, I had to think about all of that and how that affected my livelihood moving forward in the future. And I had to weigh, does the pros outweigh the cons? And for me, from a financial perspective, resource allocation perspective, meaning like I'm able to do things now in Dallas, and I think we can get to that here in a little bit. But I had to weigh all of those consequences, a social consequence, how I was going to be viewed publicly. I've got a YouTube channel now that's growing and doing very well, and want to continue to produce product there so I can showcase entertainment and my skill set on that platform as well.
You are well known for bringing science to golf.
Yeah.
Give us an example.
Wow. Well, there's a lot of examples. One of them that I can think of directly off the top of my head, this is more statistics, but hitting it farther has been a big notion of mine. And the reason I did that was because I knew that if I could gain 3 more yards off the tee, I could be 6 more yards offline, so 3 more yards right or left, and still have a positive strokes gained potential. And what that means is that I'm gaining shots on the field. And so from that perspective, I took it on to me, how do I hit it farther? How do I consistently hit it farther? How do I get my body stronger? What do I do from a biomechanics perspective to make my golf swing more repeatable? So I'll go on gears and try and understand how my biomechanics are moving in order to be the most repeatable and powerful athlete I can possibly be.
So how do you do that?
A lot of studying data, trying to understand and crunching numbers, trying to understand how to create flat spots in the golf swing. This is getting really technical now.
Please do.
Okay. Trying to create flat spots in the golf swing where you're making a combined motion that allows the golf club to move in a very consistent, straight manner.
Yes.
It's not this arcing manner that you're very sensitive to err on. You're just trying to become less sensitive to error. So when I'm able to like wrap around the corner, this club is going down, but because I'm going up, it's actually planing out and it goes straight into the ball. So your angle of attack is more consistent. Your lofted impact, your dynamic lofted impact is more consistent. So you're hitting your spots a lot more consistently, meaning that your launch angle is going to be consistent, your spin rate is going to be consistent, and your landing distance is going to be way more consistent.
So are you doing calculations in your head as you putt?
Yeah. We can't use greens books, which have a topographical map of the putting green. It tells me exactly, this is 2.3% slope. So we get, I know on average what a 2% slope looks like, a 3% slope looks like. It's not me doing math in my head. I just have memorized all the numbers.
Do you count cards in blackjack?
No, I could, but I don't want to go down that road. I don't want to get in trouble.
That's totally fair. But in golf, you're allowed to do this.
Correct. I'm trying to find a distinct advantage to help benefit the game of golf in a positive way and help my life out in the best way possible.
Amazing. And has it paid off?
Well, do you think it's paid off?
Well, it sounds like it has.
I think it has. For me, I'm very blessed. I'm very lucky. My family's very, very happy. My friends around me are very happy. I'm now able to do things back in Dallas, give back to my community in Dallas. I'm going to build a multi-sport complex center there, attach an education center there, attach my charity to it. My charity, Bryson DeChambeau Foundation, supports junior golf, health, and it's going to build an education center. I want to build an education center where I've got an idea and model for that I think will help benefit the education system in general. So the resources that I now have doesn't mean that I'm able to just sit on my butt and do nothing. I've got more responsibility now to take care of my community, my country, and my state as much as I possibly can. And at a certain point in time, you go, man, there's more to life than just golf. And that's what LIV Golf allows me to do. I mean, I'm able to play golf and enjoy and compete with some of the best players in the world, but also have a life outside of this.
Subscribe to the Fox News YouTube channel to catch our nightly opens, stories that are changing the world and changing your life. From Tucker Carlson Tonight.